So guys, I have had the new Corvette for just over a week and I have hit 500 miles, which for those of you that know, the C8 has a software lock from GM that limits the RPM. It redlines about 3,000 RPM until 500 break-in miles are complete and the car unlocks. Well, that happened last night. I'll put a clip in just a minute of rolling over that 500 miles and the tachometer unlocking and the red line of the engine moving up. All right, guys, so we are just a few tenths of a mile from unlocking the C8. As you can see, the red line is right at 4,500 RPM. So right as we hit 500 here, the tachometer should unlock and raise that red line up to like 6,500 RPM. So hopefully my phone doesn't die. I'm only on 3% right now. Did not plan this very well. There comes 500. There's 500. Now, when will the TAC unlock? And TAC is unlocked. The C8 is unlocked and quote unquote broken in according to GM. We're going to be doing the first oil change as soon as we get to the house. We're only a couple miles from the house, so we'll do the first oil change and continue to break it in because we're not going to beat on it just yet. It needs way more than 500 miles break in, especially with the LT engine issues of late, but we have unlocked the C8. So now that we have that done, we're going to do the first oil change on the C8. Now, Chevrolet, GM, what have you, don't say anything about this. They say, you know, change it at 5,000, 6,000, 7,000, whatever mile interval they want it changed at. But this is a brand new car, a brand new engine, and we need to break it in properly. We're not gonna ride 500 miles and start beating on it. We're not gonna do any of that stuff. We're gonna go through, we're gonna do an oil filter change here at 500 miles. We're gonna do it again at 1,000 miles. We're gonna do it at 2,500 miles and then 5,000 miles and every 5,000 after that. A lot of people think that's excessive, but I don't care. I would rather go ahead and change that oil and filter frequently in the beginning while all of the rings are seating, while the bearings are wearing in. All of that stuff going on creates friction, creates some kind of debris, small material. As that stuff creates wear patterns, as all of those metals get acclimated to each other, and that stuff gets suspended in the oil and it circulates through. We want to keep good fresh oil and a good clean filter in there while that process is going through. So that's why we are doing what we're doing against the advice or recommendation of the manufacturer. I've done it with every new vehicle I've ever had and every new engine I've ever built or had, is going through that good break-in process, continually replacing the oil and the filter as it should be, in my opinion, and probably a lot of others as well. So with that said, let's go ahead and get under the car and get into this oil change. We're also gonna be replacing some interior components a little bit later, adding a little bit of flair to the all jet black interior. So guys, from what I've seen online, the oil change should be very simple for the C8. Now it does have a dry sump oil system. We do have a bigger oil accumulation tank here at the beginning or the front of the engine near the firewall. As far as I could tell, online watching other people service these and looking at the limited amount of service information in the owner's manual, you want to start the car, run it, get the temperature, the oil up to temperature, about 175 degrees. And I believe you want to idle it for about 25-30 seconds to let the oil drain back into the dry sump tank, and then you can go through and change the oil like a regular vehicle, like a Silverado or a Tahoe. A 15mm drain bolt and an oil filter that spins on underneath. Nothing crazy, exotic, or different really about this, and I'm pretty sure there are cutouts underneath where we don't even take down any of the underbody paneling to get at for the service. After that's done, we'll go up here and put, I believe, 7.5, 8 quarts of Dexos Mobil 1 040 Supercar oil. I'm not making that up. Mobil 1 calls it the Supercar blend for the Stingray, Z06, ZR1, E-Ray, etc. We fill it right over here, dipstick's right over here. Once we have it filled and the drain plug tightened and the oil filter installed, we'll start the car, run it until the oil reaches again 175 degrees Fahrenheit. Once that is done, we will continue to idle the engine on a flat
surface and check the oil level. We do not check the oil level with the engine off. It has to be idling on this system according to all the documentation I've seen. So let's go ahead and get under there and see how difficult it'll be for me to shimmy my big old tail up under here, but it looks like I should have plenty of clearance to get up under there. All right, guys, so this is my very first time looking underneath the C8. So our oil drain plug is up in one of those two holes, and our oil filter is right here. Now, this is extremely tight for me, so I don't think I'll be able to film this part for you, but we're just gonna unscrew this oil filter, screw the new one in just like a regular oil change. There's nothing really special about it. And then, like I said, one of these two holes up here, it's gonna be a very tight squeeze for me, has our oil drain plug in it. And that is a 15mm headed drain bolt, and it torques back down to 25 Newton meters or 18 foot-pounds. So go through and do that, get that draining, and come back. And we got our drain plug out and got our oil draining. Should have taken the cap off. Gonna go out and do that now. And again, filter's right there. All right, guys, and there is our very funky oil drain bolt. Has an O-ring up here and a seal down here. They are reusable unless this is damaged, and it looks perfectly fine to me, so we're gonna be reusing it. And it is quite hot. I don't know why they put that Torx fastener in there. It just seems like a way to make that 15mm hex weaker and more susceptible to rounding off, but what do I know? So everything is drained out of the tank. We'll put this plug back in, again, torquing it to 25 Newton meters or 18 foot-pounds with the torque wrench. All right, guys, so drain plug is back in and torqued the spec. I gotta say, a lift is probably mandatory for a C8 doing any kind of maintenance yourself. It is miserable under here on oil ramps. Get this oil filter off real quick and bring it back. We'll probably save this oil filter, dry it out, and cut it open with the oil filter cutter to see if there's any particulates or anything in there. Also, just keep it for record keeping. We'll go ahead and mark 504, 500 miles, 505 miles, whatever's on it now. Not too much past 500. So, all right, so oil filter's off, new oil filter going on. O-ring is lubed up. I am very happy that most manufacturers are now putting a torque specification on their oil filter instead of just, you know, snug it or a 1 turn or quarter turn, 3/4 turn past snug or whatever. It's nice just to put a socket on there and a torque wrench and, you know, hit 10 Newton meters. 10 Newton meters is 10 Newton meters, not, you know, up, tighten it till it's snug and then 3/4 of a turn with your tongue out. Like, everyone's gonna misinterpret that or interpret it differently. Torque wrench, there is no margin of error. All right, and we are done underneath the car, which is great because I was feeling quite claustrophobic under there. Oil filter to 10 Newton meters, drain plug to 25 Newton meters. Got to grab the oil drain pan. There's our old oil filter. And now we can just top it up and check it. Pretty simple service other than squeezing up under here. And there is our fully synthetic 040 engine oil after only 500 miles. Very, very dark. And here is our oil filter. Again, gonna let that drain, and we'll cut it open with the oil filter cutter, see if there's any metal particulates in the pleats of the filtration media. So now that we're all drained out, drain plug is in, oil filter's in, 7.5 quarts of 040 Mobil 1 Supercar. And no, guys, I am not kidding, exaggerating, etc. Mobil 1 really calls this Supercar oil. So all the guys with their Z06s and E-Rays and ZR1s can say they have a supercar because it takes supercar oil. Now, I'm not one to say that it isn't a supercar. I just think it's hilarious that some people fight about it so hard, especially online, about is it a supercar, is it not a supercar, what defines a supercar. Honestly, I do think the Z06 and the E-Ray probably, and definitely the ZR1 are absolutely supercars. So we'll go ahead and get our 7.5 quarts in, start the engine, crawl underneath, look for any leakage from the drain plug or oil filter. If we don't see any leakage, go ahead and pull it off the ramps, idle it, let the oil get up to 175, and check our fluid level. And then we can move on to the fun, possibly. I'm not sure exactly how difficult this job is yet, but I picked up a set of, I'm not sure if it's Victory Red or Torch Red now, seat belts for this car off of Facebook Marketplace. Fell up in Concord, had purchased a silver 24 or 23 C8, and it was an LT2 with the red seat belts, and he did not like them and went with the black. Kind of wish we could have gotten together, because then we could have both saved each other money, because he had to buy the black belts and then I bought the red belts from him. So I think he spent about $300 and I gave him about $300 for the red belts. Been nice. Again, could we have just traded? But I'm not one for forums. Don't know if he is or not, but you know, it's hard to get together on stuff like that. But would have been really cool if we could have. But it worked out either way. He's got his black belts he wanted now, and I've got my red belts. Just don't have them installed yet. Now, I have seen a couple videos online where it says take the targa off, take the trim piece off the back to get in there and get the anchor bolt for the shoulder mount. But I've also seen where apparently there's a small access panel here on each side in the black with 4 Torx head screws. And I've heard you can take that off and access your shoulder mount bolt and just pull your belts through without having to take that trim piece off. You just pull that little cover piece off. I don't know if that's true or not, but I'm gonna pull it off to see, because if I can do it the easiest, quickest, laziest way without having to remove interior trim pieces, I'm definitely gonna do it. So go ahead and drink up little C8, all of your expensive Mobil 1 oil, and we can go for a ride this afternoon. We need to go and wash this car. I've had it a week yesterday, and I have not washed it. Also told the dealership not to wash it. They want to messing it up possibly. I've bought new cars in the past. My last Corvette prior to this, as I said in the last video, was a black 50th anniversary Z06, and the detailer at that dealer cut swirl marks all in that black paint, and I was furious when I went to pick it up. So I told him to lock this thing up and don't let anyone touch it. I would handle cleaning it. And of course there's all kinds of pollen in here because South Carolina and spring, and we always have pollen Armageddon. Everything gets covered. So as you may or may not have seen, between the beginning of the video and currently, the engine is a little bit cleaner. I did take a rag a minute ago and wipe down some of this pollen, but this car still needs a good cleaning. And back at SEMA in November, I talked to the nice people at Cerakote, and they sent me a little care package. You guys know that I love Cerakote, especially their trim restoration. We've used it on the Project Forester. We used it on the cheap Outback. We used it on the Crosstrek Hybrid project. We've used it on a lot of different vehicles, and it works phenomenal at restoring the black exterior plastic trim, makes it black again, and keeps it from getting ashy and faded and UV damaged. Well, they've got a ton of other stuff. They've got headlight restoration I've never used. I've always used the Meguiar's kit, but I'm very curious to try Cerakote's. And they also sent me a ceramic coating kit. Am I brave enough to wash, wax, and ceramic, whatever the process is, I don't even know. Am I brave enough to DIY ceramic coat this Corvette? I don't know. We might watch a couple YouTube videos and reach out to Cerakote for an explanation, but we might try it. If not, I really wanted to try Cerakoting my brand new Bobcat T86 skid steer just for the ha-has, to keep the red clay and stuff from sticking up to it, because how many people have ever heard of someone Cerakoting or ceramic coating a skid steer or compact track loader? Thought it'd be hilarious. All right, so that's 7.5 quarts roundabout. We'll go ahead and start her up, check for leaks. Let the temperature get up and check her level. And looks like we might get a little bit of a rain cloud coming up. Hopefully not, and hopefully we can go ahead and get these seat belts put in as well. So after a tiny little bit of research, it looks like the C8 has a clear flood crank as well, similar to Subaru's for, you know, clearing a flood condition, or in the case of this, priming the oil system, priming the oil filter. So we're gonna go ahead and dry that and see if we can get a clear flood crank and prime the oiling system, and hopefully do not start this car at wide open throttle. So apparently this is the same procedure: foot on the brake, gas pedal to the floor, and tap the starter button. Here goes nothing. Actually, I gotta wake the key up. Hey, we got clear flood crank. We'll do it one more time. We got 2 PSI of oil pressure. Let's see what we got. We got 21 PSI. We have primed the system. We'll go ahead and start it. And I gotta say, that's some damn good sounding exhaust for a completely factory exhaust. But we're definitely gonna change it. Headers, high flow cats, and performance catback. All right, oil filter, good. And hard to show you guys, but drain plug is good. No leakage. And our oil temp is at 180, so we have reached our minimum 175. We'll keep the engine idling, flat surface, and check our oil level. And it looks like we're about half a quart or so low. Let it idle a little bit longer. I think they say 20-30 seconds. It should have been that long here. Should be all in the tank. So yeah, we're reading about a half a quart low, so we'll go ahead and put the rest of that half a quart in there to make 8 full quarts. GM says 7.5 in the owner's manual, but looks like it's going to take 8 according to the dipstick. That idle a little bit so it has time to accumulate in the tank. Temp's still good, 189 on our trans and oil temp. Looking inside the car, really wanted to change the transmission filter at 500, but we get one free from GM, so I'll probably take it into 1,000 and get it changed. Hopefully they don't fight me on that. It's supposed to be changed at 7,000, but my plan is transmission filter, engine oil, and engine oil filter every 5,000 miles, same as I do the fuel filter and the engine oil and filter on my Duramax. I'd rather change it frequently and often and you know, not have to worry about it than to forget about it and go over between services. You're not gonna hurt anything by changing it too much, only when you neglect to change it enough. And we are bang on the money there at the full dot with 8 quarts. So it looks like 8 is the magic number rather than 7.5 according to the owner's manual. But we're all good. First oil change is a success on the C8. Again, our next little bit of fun right here, these Victory Red or Torch Red seat belts, just to give us a little extra pop
against that jet black interior, because it is quite a lot of black in here. So adding that little flare of red in the belts will help. Now what I've seen or heard is this access panel actually gets you in there to that shoulder mount anchor for these belts, and you can pretty much just unbolt the belt down there after taking that cover off, slide it through here and out this hole, but don't know. So I'll take one of these covers off just to take a peek. And hey, would you look at that, kids? Sometimes you can trust strangers on the internet, but it's definitely not coming out of here. You know, you can get an extension and a socket right down on there. I think it's a T50 to get that out, but we are still gonna have to pull off, I believe, this trim piece and this piece right in here behind the seat. But other than that, it shouldn't be too difficult or too time consuming. But I heard a lot of people are having issues getting that. Looks like that is much easier with this access. All right, so we got both access covers off. We popped out the center trim piece here. It's literally just a bunch of clips up here. Folded the seats forward or reclined them forward. So now this piece pretty much pops off as well on either side and gets us access into here. We've got an electrical pigtail, that bolt, and then we pop this little plastic cover off here, and I believe there's a nut and a bolt in here that anchors that to the seat bottom. So just take the trim tool. We got a yellow clip up here, one down there, and a couple clips right here. And you can pull this all the way back, get all the room you need, and get your bolt at the top like that. All right, down here at the bottom, I just took a pocket screwdriver and popped a clip off. We got a 10. Get that 10 off of there. And that should come free just like that. We can thread that back through the hole, take our anchor bolts loose, and take our pigtails loose for the pre-tensioner. Really easy to do. All right, so we got the electrical pigtail loose, got the belt through. This is a T50, using our grip edge, RPT, T50. Take these loose. We got some blue Loctite and put on these bolts. I believe they're blue Loctite from the factory. Got torque specs on my phone. So seatbelt stuff, you want to torque this stuff with a torque wrench. So torque this shoulder anchor bolt, torque that little 10 back down there, and we should be back in business with our nice bright red seatbelts here in just a couple minutes. This is actually fairly simple. It's just getting these trim pieces off that's the pain. Other than that, it's very easy to get at. Of course, you most likely want to disconnect your battery before doing this. Worst case scenario, you'll probably have a SRS light. You have to go in and clear a seatbelt pre-tensioner open circuit code. Otherwise, you're good. In the rare fault that you short the thing, you could blow the pre-tensioner and screw your seatbelt up, but very unlikely, honestly. So I'm sure this is much easier to get at this way than trying to reach around with a ratchet and a Torx bit through the interior of the car. And this is a captive bolt, so it's not going to come all the way out. I mean, it'll come out of the car. It won't come out of the belt assembly. So I think we're definitely free. You can see there, T50 grip edge. Oop. And flops right out of there. Passenger side has this extra little pigtail on it, which is this one right here. So that is our correct side to put back in there. And again, I'll look up the torque specs, put them on screen, grab a torque wrench, put a little bit of blue Loctite on this mounting bolt, because I definitely don't want it coming loose. Got some blue thread locker on there, and torque spec is 50 Newton meters. Does not seem
nearly tight enough to me, but that's what it says. So that's what we're going with. I guess it's tighter than it sounds. So that's all anchored in place. Got that plugged in. Pre-tensioner's plugged in. Feed our belt back through our trim. I believe our lower little 10mm bolt down here is a dang, snap that off. I believe it's 7 Newton meters. So make sure this belt's not all twisted up. Looks like that's right. So a little bit of blue Loctite and 7 Newton meters of torque. I think we're going to have to get our smaller torque wrench to go down that low. Yeah, I gotta say, that's already looking so much better, that red on the camera. So blue thread locker. Run our little bolt in here. 7 Newton meters on the torque wrench. Repeat the process on the driver's side and just pop all our trim pieces back in. This is a pretty quick and simple thing. It's just getting those trim pieces to come loose without breaking anything that's the real struggle in this. So fairly simple. And there we go. Hopefully this will go back on now that I kind of broke one of the clips like an idiot. It clipped on there really nice. So that ought to hold. And we're good. Plugged in, put our trim on, repeat on the other side, and we're done. Looking pretty badass. So guys, there we have it. Everything is put back together. Everything is nice and neat, and those red seat belts really set off the jet black interior. It is kind of too much black, so having that little pop of red is really nice of an accent. Everything went back together very well. No issues with clips breaking or anything like that. Pretty quick, easy, simple to do. First oil change under the belt. Everything is good to go. Thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for future Corvette, Subaru, and tool content. I'll see you guys in the next one.